standing strong and tall. Yeah, this is the bovine coming on the air, sharing the stories of the folks who care. Profiles of passion, voices of the trade, dairy strong legends being made. Yeah, this is the bovine coming on the air, sharing the stories of the folks who care. Profiles of passion, voices of the trade, dairy strong legends being made.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Bovine Podcast. I'm your host, and today I've got a story that's going to completely change how you think about agricultural advocacy. Forget everything you know about feel-good farm PR and county fair cheerleading. I'm talking about Sarah Hagenow, Wisconsin's 78th Alice in Dairyland, and her data-driven approach. This isn't your grandmother's agricultural ambassador story, folks. This is about turning sustainability metrics into profit margins and transforming show ring evaluation skills into market positioning advantages that secure premium processor contracts. Let me paint you a picture. It's 2016, and 13-year-old Sarah Hagenow is walking through the barn at City Slickers Farm in Cross Plains, Wisconsin. The morning light is filtering through those dusty barn windows, and she's approaching a pen holding a brown Swiss heifer named Sassy. Now, Sassy isn't your typical show-stopping heifer. This girl had shattered her leg as a calf. Talk about overcoming adversity. She was, in Sarah's own words, going to fall about middle of the pack at each show. But here's the thing. What Sarah couldn't have known in that moment was that this humble, middle-of-the-pack heifer was about to become the catalyst for a journey that would make history. Fast forward to today, and Sarah is half of the first sister pair to ever hold the title of Alice in Dairyland. But more importantly, she's standing at the intersection of tradition and transformation, armed with a business degree, a global perspective, and an unshakable belief that agriculture's future belongs to those who can speak both barn language and boardroom language. Now, let me tell you why Sarah's different from the 76 women who came before her. The Alice in Dairyland program has a rich history. We even had Julia Nunes serve 2 consecutive years due to COVID restrictions. But Sarah? She's bringing something unprecedented to the table. Ashley was a little bit more into showing horses, where I went down the cattle path, Sarah explains, talking about her sister Ashley, who served as the 76th Alice. In school, we've had different interests as well. I took a little bit more of the business path, and she took more of the marketing path. This wasn't some casual decision, folks. This was strategic. While traditional Alice candidates focus on communications and public relations, Sarah brings a deep understanding of commodity markets, supply chain logistics, and the economic forces that actually drive agricultural decisions. Her comfort with agriculture extends way beyond show ring placings to the real decisions driving modern dairy operations. Here's where it gets interesting. Sarah's agricultural heritage didn't start on some family farm with generations of tradition. It started in the scientific precision of animal nutrition. Her father, Bob Hagenow, works as a feed nutritionist at Vita Plus, that Madison-based company that's been building its reputation on cutting-edge technology and nutrition science since 1948. Picture this. Sarah's growing up in a household where dinner table conversations aren't about the weather or local gossip. They're about dairy cattle, farmers, feed conversion efficiency, and component optimization. Bob's influence runs deeper than most people realize. As a regional business manager at Vita Plus with nearly 4 decades of experience, he's been leading teams, maintaining key dealer partnerships, and providing nutrition and business consulting to farm customers. This guy has significantly impacted today's producers through company-led research projects covering amino acid nutrition, housing developments, forage management, and automated milking system technology. So when Sarah talks about agricultural issues with producers, it stems from someone raised in an environment where agricultural discussions were grounded in practical outcomes that directly impact the farm's bottom line. But here's the most telling aspect of Sarah's story. It's not her family's influence that defines her. It's what she chose to build with it. So we're back to 2016, and that pivotal moment with Sassy. Mike Hellenbrand from City Slickers Farm approaches Sarah about exhibiting this heifer. For Sarah, who had been leasing cattle from Langer Dairy Farm since 2013, this wasn't just an opportunity. It was a character test that would define her entire approach to agricultural business. Mike Hellenbrand had built his reputation on meticulous care and incredible attention to detail. His trademark became incredible care from embryo to getting a healthy calf on the ground that was ready to thrive at its next home, as Bob Hagenow recalls from working with Mike to establish feeding programs. The feeling that Mike had put his trust in me to take on this project and be responsible for this heifer made me feel very capable and proud of the work I was doing, Sarah remembers. And you can still hear the wonder of that 13-year-old in her voice. Now, Sassy wasn't glamorous. She wasn't going to win championships. But working through the methodical process of preparing an animal that had overcome adversity, Sarah discovered something profound. Success wasn't measured solely in purple ribbons. It was built on trust, responsibility, and the patient work of turning potential into performance. The real validation came after the 2016 show season at World Dairy Expo. Mike Hellenbrand and his partners, Ken Main and Peter Vale, made a decision that changed Sarah's trajectory forever. They gifted her half ownership in Sassy. Looking back, it probably doesn't seem that significant or monumental to have half ownership in a heifer that was just a 4-H project, Sarah reflects. However, it felt like the biggest accomplishment and meant the world to me. From a girl who could only dream of being involved in the industry, mall, to finally having my name on a paper, I can remember feeling like I had somewhat made it and a new door had opened. That door led to breeding her first heifer from Sassy, Sarbo Wisdom Sassafras, with the prefix name being a tribute to Sarah and her father Bob. When Sassafras won the champion bred and owned brown Swiss heifer at the 2018 Wisconsin State Fair Junior Dairy Show, it represented the ultimate entrepreneurial milestone, creating a new asset from a previous investment. For you dairy producers listening, Sarah's journey from lease to ownership to genetic improvement mirrors the exact same strategic thinking that drives successful farm expansion and herd development decisions. Sound business principles apply whether you're managing one heifer or 1,000-cow operation. The skills Sarah learned with Sassy became invaluable when she joined the University of Minnesota's dairy cattle judging team. Participating in dairy cattle judging was perhaps the most influential activity I did as a youth to develop my public speaking and critical thinking skills, she explains. Standing in those Minnesota judging rings, Sarah practiced a discipline that requires a rigorous analytical process: observation, analysis, decision, articulation. In the show ring, judges must rank 4 animals comparatively while weighing dozens of dairy characteristics, frame, body capacity, and mammary system attributes. But the real test comes in giving reasons, a formal, timed public speech defending placings with precise, logical, and persuasive language. I learned to identify precise details and articulate those points with clarity and confidence, Sarah explains. These same analytical skills translate directly to helping farm families navigate difficult conversations about expansion financing with lenders, sustainability initiatives with regulators, or succession planning with the next generation. Situations where precise communication and logical reasoning can mean the difference between securing resources and losing opportunities. Here's where Sarah's story takes an international turn. In January 2024, she embarked on a study abroad program in Germany, focusing on renewable energy and climate-smart technologies. The program exposed her to the integrated, community-based approach to sustainability practiced in the town of Saerbeck, where municipal renewable energy systems, geothermal heating, and agricultural methane digesters work together with comprehensive public education. Standing in the bioenergy park in Saerbeck, witnessing community collaboration that transformed a former German ammunition base into a renewable energy hub, Sarah gained what she calls diplomatic intelligence. I was also just in awe of the communal support behind such a large project. Farmers, civilians, businesses, schools, and leaders have all come together to realize this project, she recalls. But here's the brilliant part. Sarah didn't come back from Germany as some convert to European models. Walking through Saarbeck's renewable energy park, she found herself thinking not about what America should copy, but about what Wisconsin farmers were already doing right, and how to articulate that difference to skeptical consumers back home. She developed this sophisticated understanding of context-specific solutions. What works for Europe works for them because of their specific societal needs and historical development, and what works in the United States is different and fitting for us because of our own societal needs. This nuanced perspective transforms potentially defensive conversations about American agriculture into sophisticated discussions about tailored approaches, crucial for an ambassador representing Wisconsin agriculture on the global stage, and equally valuable for dairy producers who need to explain their practices to neighbors and community members. While most agricultural advocates focus on either farm-level production or consumer-facing marketing, Sarah's internship with Viking Dairy Company gave her something rare: insight into what she calls the middle of the supply chain. The nitty-gritty of markets, purchasing, economics, and logistically moving products excited me because this area is such a critical part of the whole that gets food to consumers, Sarah says, and you can hear the genuine enthusiasm in her voice. Picture Sarah standing in the Viking Dairy warehouse that first morning, watching pallets move through complex logistical arrangements, finally understanding the intricate dance of transactions that transform farm commodities into consumer products. This knowledge helps her explain to dairy producers how their farm gate decisions ripple through entire supply chains. But her summer 2024 internship with the Animal Agriculture Alliance in Arlington, Virginia, fundamentally reshaped her understanding of agricultural advocacy. Through my work at the Animal Ag Alliance, my preconceptions of advocacy were challenged by showing me that advocacy extends much further beyond those personal conversations at events, she reflects. Walking into those Arlington offices, Sarah's eyes were open to the strategic landscape of engaging restaurant stakeholders, grocery chains, food influencers, and nutrition organizations, the crucial gatekeepers who shape food system narratives. I realize that this group is critical in supporting farmers, processors, and ranchers by buying or promoting certain foods, she discovered. This experience taught her that modern agricultural advocacy requires understanding not just what farmers do, but how their work connects to the broader food system. The lessons learned in Sassy's stall and refined through her internships proved invaluable when Sarah faced skeptical consumers at the Wisconsin State Fair. Perhaps nowhere is Sarah's analytical approach more evident than in her systematic framework for addressing agriculture's most contentious issues. When confronted with the emotionally charged question, "Why do you separate calves from their mothers?" at the Wisconsin State Fair, Sarah didn't lead with industry justifications. Standing there among the fairgoers, watching their expressions soften as she connected an unfamiliar practice to universal human experience, Sarah realized something profound about the power of empathy in advocacy. I said that it's ultimately for the safety and health of the calf, just like doctors for humans do a health check on newborns to ensure that they are safe and prepared for a healthy life as a baby, she explains. This interaction helped me see the importance of relating to others and being able to hear them out, no matter what their initial perspective is. I truly believe that listening with empathy is at the heart of agricultural advocacy and allows us to ground conversations by coming from a place of understanding. This approach, connecting unfamiliar agricultural practices to universal human experiences, exemplifies her broader communication philosophy. Her systematic communication framework could be a model for farm families to navigate difficult conversations about sustainability initiatives. Sarah's vision for her year as Alice involves striking a delicate balance between honoring tradition and modernizing the program for contemporary advocacy needs. She plans to maintain the strong partnerships that 76 predecessors worked to establish while embracing digital tools to reach audiences beyond Wisconsin's borders. Utilizing social media and digital forms of storytelling are a great way to keep agricultural advocacy up to date and take advantage of reaching audiences outside of our local communities in Wisconsin, she explains. But her modernization strategy goes beyond simply posting more content. Sarah sees an opportunity to showcase what she calls the business and technology of agriculture, highlighting the advanced systems that farmers use to enhance sustainability and animal care. The Hagenow flair isn't a single entity, but a brand with two complementary dimensions: Ashley's marketing expertise and Sarah's business acumen. By differentiating her approach while honoring her sister's contributions, Sarah creates a compelling narrative around agricultural expertise that spans multiple disciplines. Sarah's approach to youth engagement reflects her business-minded perspective on what is fundamentally a human resources challenge. With Wisconsin's agricultural sector supporting 353,900 jobs, Sarah sees her role as showcasing opportunities across the entire spectrum, from soil scientists and truck drivers to food marketers and event planners. I see a critical need to ensure that positions all along the food chain are filled to maintain the security and abundance of the state's food supply, she explains. Her strategy combines digital storytelling to virtually bring young people to farms and processing facilities with promoting long-term mentorship programs, an approach she directly links to corporate talent development practices. Long-term mentorship programs are also incredibly valuable for young people, which I've learned from my business experience, Sarah notes. Standing before classrooms of students, Sarah envisions more than just inspiring moments. She sees sustainable career pipelines that will ensure Wisconsin agriculture has the talent it needs for the next generation. In an industry grappling with labor shortages that have reached crisis levels, her talent pipeline approach to youth engagement offers practical solutions for farms struggling to find reliable workers, transforming agricultural education from inspiration to strategic workforce development. Here's what you need to understand. While traditional agricultural ambassadors focus on emotions and marketing, Hagenow leverages supply chain analytics, genomic testing protocols, and component optimization strategies that directly impact your milk check. As Sarah began her historic tenure on July 7, 2025, she represents more than just another year in the program's long history. With an annual salary and the demanding responsibility of traveling approximately 50,000 miles annually across Wisconsin, she carries both the financial investment the state makes in agricultural promotion and the weight of unprecedented expectations. When asked about making Wisconsin's $160.3 billion agricultural economy personally relevant to urban audiences, Sarah doesn't rely on abstract statistics. Instead, she grounds that massive number in human experience. 3 times a day, maybe less or maybe more, every single person sits down and has a plate with food on it. This mental picture is one that every person can likely relate to, and it brings them face to face with the product and purpose of agriculture. Standing now on the threshold of her year-long journey across Wisconsin's agricultural landscape, Sarah Hagenow carries with her not just the sash and tiara of Alice in Dairyland, but the lessons learned in a barn stall with a heifer named Sassy, that 13-year-old who felt the weight of responsibility for a broken-legged heifer's care has evolved into a woman who understands that agriculture's greatest strength lies not in the perfection of its animals or the efficiency of its systems, but in the trust placed between people who believe in something larger than themselves. Serving as the 78th Alice in Dairyland is a dream come true, Sarah said. I can't wait to start visiting communities all across the state, learning more about the diverse people and places that make Wisconsin the agricultural powerhouse it is, and giving voice to their stories of dedication and inspiration. The morning light that first illuminated her path to Sassy's pen has evolved into the bright spotlight of statewide agricultural ambassadorship. The principles remain unchanged: earn trust through competence, create value through strategic thinking, and never forget that agriculture's most powerful stories are rooted in the personal connections that transform individual lives. As Sarah embarks on her 50,000-mile journey across Wisconsin, she carries more than promotional materials and talking points. She carries the business plan for elevating an entire industry. In her hands, the Alice in Dairyland program isn't just continuing a tradition. It's writing the blueprint for agricultural advocacy in an age when the business of believing in agriculture has never been more important. The question isn't whether she's ready for the role, it's whether agriculture is ready for the kind of strategic, analytical, and globally minded advocate it needs for the challenges ahead. In Sarah's story, from that humble barn stall to the state's highest agricultural honor, lies proof that sometimes the most profound transformations begin with the simple act of placing trust in potential, whether in a broken-legged heifer or a determined teenager who dared to dream beyond middle-of-the-pack placings. So here's my challenge to you, the progressive dairy producers listening to this podcast. If you're still relying on traditional farm tours and county fair conversations to build market position, you're missing the sophisticated advocacy strategies that turn sustainability metrics into profit margins. Sarah Hagenow's story proves that the future of agricultural advocacy isn't about warm, fuzzy farm stories. It's about data-driven approaches that deliver measurable ROI. Component-focused messaging, strategic stakeholder engagement, and systematic communication frameworks aren't just nice ideas. They're profit drivers that can transform your operation. The business of believing in agriculture has never been more important, and Sarah Hagenow is showing us exactly how to turn that belief into bottom-line results. Thanks for listening to the Bullvine Podcast. I'm your host, and remember, in this industry, the numbers don't lie, but the stories behind them can change everything.